Okay.
So let me
So
just,
we're rolling. Okay.
yep. So we're just gonna go with it. So we will start. All right, Matt. So how long have you been in the real estate business now?
Since 2005.
2005. So it's 15 years.
I lost track of counting,
You gave up on accounting. That's all right.
Yeah, I gave up on the counting. I just say 2005.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what made you become a realtor?
Actually, my dad, I started working with him as his assistant. We were at Remax at the time. So he asked me to come on board and thought it was a good opportunity to learn and I previously been working for nonprofit organizations, which I loved, some great organizations, Atlantic City Rescue Mission, Arc of Atlantic County. And I loved that, enjoyed the people and just working and being part of that environment. However, there's kind of a limited, as far as it felt like it was a little limited as far as my potential growth in that role that I was in. So wanted to have an opportunity where with real estate, it's kind of unlimited what you can accomplish. And so that was appealing to me to be able to get started that way. And then being able to work with my dad and start learning from him was definitely a blessing to be able to start that way.
That's awesome. It's like a little family business you guys have going on, a very strong family business.
Mhm.
And I heard you say you liked working with people, and obviously that's one of the key attributes of being a realtor is being able to work with people. And just curious, how are you working with your clientele in today's market? What's changed? What's the same? And what advice would you give someone that's new or just joining us?
Um, as far as communication, it's still I'd say the same in that you still need to communicate with people. That hasn't changed. The way that we're doing it maybe a little bit differently. So instead of doing an in-person consultation for a listing or for working with a buyer right now with in light of the COVID-19 everything going on, that's going to be a Zoom video call. So we're doing that instead. So yeah, as much as possible, it would be a video conversation before. Uh, that would have been an in-person meeting. Now it's video.
Okay. And any like pushback or concerns from your clients with the Zoom? And if so, how do you overcome that?
So far so good. Other than, I mean, there was maybe one time where a client couldn't get it to go, and we just said, okay, we're just going to go over the phone, and it was kind of a quick conversation anyway, so it wasn't really a problem. So I mean, the worst case scenario you can do over the phone if someone can't figure it out.
Okay.
But the Zoom is nice because you can pull up, you can share your screen. So I can go over the presentation that I would have normally done in person. I can pull up on the screen and go over it with the potential client, or even if we're talking about. So for buyers, I can pull up. Here's the available homes, or here's the list of homes that you like. I had a client they wanted to look at 8 homes. I said, well, let's look at it together, go through, and we narrow that down to like 2 or 3. So that's one way I've been using that on the buyer side. On the listing side, you can pull up the listing information and go through, here's the comparable homes in your neighborhood. How does your home compare with this home as we're trying to figure out pricing strategy?
So that's actually very awesome. You actually share your screen and actually show them, hey, this is what I'm seeing from my perspective. What questions do you have about that? Because this is what I'm seeing, this is what you're seeing, and it's not like we're hiding anything. So that's a very cool aspect. I didn't even think about how Zoom could benefit our business.
Yeah, yeah, that works well.
What would you tell someone, Matt, that if they were thinking today that, hey, I'm thinking of becoming a realtor, I'm thinking of jumping into this real estate business, what would you tell them? What would your best piece of advice be to them?
I would say do it. I mean, it's a great opportunity. I would say that I think there's a misconception that people see real estate as this glamorous thing, and you're showing houses, you're looking at $1 million homes, and everything is just glamour and glitz and wonderful. But the reality is there's work involved. So if you want to get into real estate and think there's not going to be any work involved, then don't do it. I mean, but if you're willing to put work in, you're willing to learn, you're willing to grow, and it's not necessarily going to happen overnight either. It's not something that you can get rich quick on. Most people aren't going to be that way. It's going to take some time. It's going to take some dedication, focus to do it. However, the payoff is huge. So you have the potential to do well. And then even in light of a shifting market like we're in now, the plus side is if you're a new agent coming on board and this is what you're learning in, and that's kind of what I started in 2006 was the peak of the market. And then most of my career has been in a downward market. So I don't really know anything different. And that's a benefit because I think if you're trying to shift and this is what you're learning from the get-go, you're going to do really well once things may shift again. So yeah, it's definitely a good time to do it. But and I would say and be aware that there's work involved and it's not necessarily going to be easy. It's simple but not easy.
Yeah, and there, to your point, there's a lot of work involved with it. And I think the biggest thing I've learned jumping into the real estate business is I have to have a routine. If I don't have that routine, I mean, a Monday, I could wake up Monday and think it's Monday, and it's actually Thursday. So talk a little bit about your business and what that looks like from a routine perspective to someone new, because everyone watches these shows on HGTV and Million Dollar Listing, to your point. Hey, it's easy, but there's work. So what does that
Yeah.
routine for you look like?
It starts with my morning routine before I even start any work. So that's a big component of that is journaling. Be journaling, writing out things I'm grateful for, at least 10 things I'm grateful for. I make it kind of like a prayer journal. So Lord, thank you for, and I'll write out things that I'm thankful for. I'll write out what I did well. I learned this from Bold, by the way. So when I first took that, which was probably, I don't even know, the first 10 years ago, I guess the first time. So I've been journaling for 10 years, kind of utilizing their method and a little bit of customization. So write out the 10 things I'm grateful for, what I did well. And then rather than saying, here's my goals of what I want to have happen, I make that kind of like a prayer too. So Lord, if it's your will today, I want this to happen, this to happen, this to happen. Because I'm acknowledging that I'm not in control of everything that happens in the day. I'd like to be in control, but I'm not. And especially, and I think people can probably agree with that in light of everything going on right now in the world that, yeah, there's a lot of things that we don't have control over, but we can plan and say, hey, this is what we want to have happen, but acknowledging that we're not in control of that. So that kind of helps me get going with the mindset. Exercise in the morning, have a nice big breakfast. My wife's amazing, cooks this incredible breakfast. So, I'm starting off the day good. Get a good breakfast in, got my mindset right, and then just like I said, showing up for work, even when we're working at home. It's okay. I'm trying to. The schedule is morning time is the lead generation time, and so that's the goal is to block that out for the lead generation time, and then appointments and other things afterwards.
Okay. When, speaking of, coming in as that new agent to the routine, that aspect of, you hear a lot of times, I don't know what I'm supposed to do, or who am I supposed to contact? And we reference the sphere of our influence. And a lot of people are afraid to use that sphere because they're like, oh, I don't want people to feel like I'm that businessman or businesswoman. What would you tell someone to overcome that fear of being afraid of rejection or being afraid I'm too new and they're not going to give me any business?
I mean, if people know you and like you and trust you, and if you're not like a scumbag type person, people are they're gonna do business with you. And I think the approach that I would take is use the skills and the resources and the things that you've learned. Let's say if you're coming a new agent, you're coming from a different industry, maybe you're in customer service or you worked in retail or whatever. Hey, I've always been great with helping people in this capacity. Now I'm taking those skills and that knowledge that I've learned and taking it to the field of real estate. And by the way, who do you know that could use that handhold, that care, that customer service, whatever it is, whatever skills that you have and from whatever industry you're before, and translate that to real estate. And I think if you always come from contribution and not from a salesperson perspective, so it's like, I'm here to help you. How can I help you? These are the skills and abilities I have, regardless of if you have no experience in real estate at all, you still have skills and abilities that you can use. That's how I would approach it.
Perfect. And I heard that keyword contribution, and I think that's so
Yeah.
key. My last question for you today is, how does Keller Williams contribute to your success?
It's been really amazing because I think looking back on it, if I wasn't part of Keller Williams, I probably would not still be in real estate right now. I could probably say that I don't think I would have made it through the shift and the challenges. like I said, there's been times that haven't been easy, and there's seasons and shifts and things that happen in real estate. And I think being part of a company that supports you, that provides the training, even like we just went through the bold shift, bold pivot,
Mhm.
and that's awesome. It's just, having that help and support, and that is really helpful, because I think without that, probably wouldn't have made it through to the point where I'm now.
Awesome. Hey, I appreciate the time. I just actually learned a couple things about you and your business, and I didn't know you did all that about nonprofit before real estate, and that's where you got your passion of people. So thank you for your time today, and
Thank you, Ron.
explaining your history with real estate and why you're here with Keller Williams. So thank you.
My pleasure.